Welcome to the Virtual Foundry podcast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Virtual Foundry podcast. This is volume 4, episode 10. Today is Friday, October 27th, 2023. We're heading into the Halloween weekend here in the US. The time is 2:04 in the afternoon, and the temperature today is 56 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 13 degrees for you Celsius users. We're going to cool off overnight to about 34 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's about 1 degree Celsius. So we are quickly heading into some cooler temps as we go through the next few days. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about academic research papers published about FFF Metal with the Virtual Foundry. I'm Tricia Cease, president of the Virtual Foundry, and with me as always is Brad Woods, founder, inventor, and all-around science guy. Say hello, Brad.
Hi there.
Now, Brad, we're talking about papers that have been published that use Filamet and FFF Metal by the Virtual Foundry. University and higher education students around the world are publishing these papers. Sometimes they're studying the FFF Metal process itself, and sometimes they're using the process in support of a larger project. Now, they're all very informative, and it's exciting to be working with these young innovators worldwide. Now, let's talk through some of these papers that we've seen come out. They go all the way back to about 2018 with the first one that we saw from UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA did a study. They printed various coupons. I think they were focused on our copper materials, but it was about the thermal conductive properties of 3D printed, FDM 3D printed materials using micropowders of copper.
So since then, there have been many more published. Now, both academic and applied research is happening. And sometimes the process itself is being studied. For example, what really is happening during that debind process. Sometimes the technology is being used in support of a larger project. For example, David Alexander's work out of the University of Texas at El Paso, where he was using FFF metal process with titanium in service of creating a hydrogen fuel cell. Tell us about that a little bit, Brad.
Right. So we're finding all kinds of places where people are using our technology in green energy, in renewables, and electric automotive, anything like that that you can think of. The particular paper that you're talking about, if I remember right, he was focused on different methods of generating hydrogen. So essentially methods of storing energy over longer terms.
Now, a few of the most recent that we've added to our website list, and I'll show you where that is in a moment, are from the University of Guelph out of Canada, where this student, led by Matthew Drummond, studied our high carbon iron filament and the printing, debinding, and sintering process from it. And the paper says this is one of the first studies on the FDM printing of cast iron, and the results would enable researchers and hobbyists to successfully print their first cast iron part. So that one is especially exciting.
And so what's happened as time has gone by, we put our project out in a relatively raw form. It is they are 3D printable composites that can be debound. So this creates an interesting research platform that's found its way into dozens and dozens of different technologies and nearly every industry that you can think of. And what we're finding is, as time passes, one group will pick up on research where someone else left off. So people keep moving this forward incrementally, and it's become a very effective method of bringing metal 3D printing to a greater number of people. Our original motivation for this was democratizing metal 3D printing, making it available to as many people as possible. That means different things to different people. So, but generally, it's just lowering the barrier to entry. And what's happened, and this is the most exciting part about the project, in my opinion, is that we have people making breakthroughs in their home shops and in their basements and their garages and things like that, all the way up to some of the highest end universities in the world that are doing very elaborate research on the very specific mechanics and thermodynamics and chemistry. Just every little detail of this process is becoming extremely well documented over time in a way that's so thorough that really no single project could do it. So our user base has been a powerful asset for the technology in general.
Yes. Another paper out of the University of Aveiro in Portugal studied, the name of the paper is 3D printed imaging apertures for micro pattern gas detector based full field of view X-ray fluorescence spectrometers. That is a lot of words. And from the paper, additive manufacturing opened a new way to promptly produce cost-effective imaging apertures based on high-density materials, like the Virtual Foundry's rapid 3D shield tungsten filament. We love talking about this material in particular. It's the most dense 3D printing filament that we make. It's designed to be a non-toxic 3D printable replacement for lead in radiation shielding applications. So it was great to see this paper come from students PMS Carvalho and their team out of Portugal. So that's a fun one as well.
Yeah, and on the tungsten side of things, we're seeing growth in medical applications, oncology applications, even things that are, nuclear power rather than radiation specific. So where people are building shields for hotspots in a nuclear reactor in the laboratory. So they're building safety devices, personal safety devices, detectors, methods of measuring, dosimeters, things like that.
Another one we recently added to our library comes from Carleton University, also in Canada, where they were looking at solar power systems for 3D printing on lunar surface for in situ resource utilization. Now, if you've been paying attention to me over the years, you know that I love the space applications for our materials. They are my favorite. So in this paper, the students, Rohit, Prashant, Galquad, and team we're looking at using the FFF Metal process to help make or to use in situ materials on the moon to 3D print. So that is an exciting prospect. That's one of my favorites that I've heard about from the beginning of my time here with the Virtual Foundry.
You're right. And this became a recurring topic. When it first came up, I thought it was so strange that this wouldn't ever actually happen. But as we've gone along, it's persisted and it's come at us from different angles. It's come at us from different universities, different countries. And we're now at a point where we have a product that contains lunar Regulus simulant.
Yes, and you'll be seeing more from us about that in the coming months. So you will have your own opportunity to 3D print the moon, or at least a simulation of it. Now, as you are looking at metal additive manufacturing, or powder metallurgy, or advanced manufacturing, for ideas about research papers, you can rest assured that you won't be alone on this topic. We're seeing these papers reference each other. For example, the paper by Mehrdad Mansour and team from the University of Aalto wrote a paper about the feasibility study of producing multi-metal parts by fused filament fabrication technique. That particular paper has been cited by 16 other papers. So you will be joining a team of voices as you work to research this technology either on its own or using it to help some other activity?
On the topic of multi-material 3D printing, this is a technology that's very challenging using powder bed fusion or any of the laser melting or sintering technologies. It isn't conducive, but FFF and FDM additive makes it very, very simple.
Now, where can you find these papers for yourselves? Well, we have a couple of different resources for you. The easiest is our website, and I will show you where to find those. You will go to on the virtualfoundry.com, you will go to resources and then research and reference papers. And aside from the academic papers, we do have some other informative white papers and things for you there. But down the left side, you'll see all of the papers. We add them to the website as we see that they've been published. If you are a student who has written a paper that uses this technology, please let us know, and we'll make sure that we get that on this list for you. It includes your school name and your names, obviously, as the author and your paper title. So make sure you tell us about that if you've got a paper published. If you want to do some work with this, we would be happy to talk with you about the process and give you any information that we can to help you with your research. Now, Brad, you were going to show us another place to find these papers.
Yeah, a pretty good place to find a large portion of them is scholar.google.com. Do a search for Virtual Foundry or the Virtual Foundry in quote marks, and with a little bit of tweaking, you can eliminate a lot of the noise. There's a little bit of noise out there, but this search returns 112 results. This isn't 100% inclusive. There are actually some missing from here, and there are some research papers that don't reference us by name, which is fine. But if you dig into here, you'll find links to other archives of scientific papers, and some of them are journals. Some of them are some of the more interesting ones are actually fully peer reviewed, so they do a deep dive and have feedback from colleagues and things like that on the papers. So the quality of the papers are increasing, the detail of the papers is expanding, and it just keeps getting better. I'll put this link in the in the description of the video, so people can just click it.
Yes, and so that will be there, and a direct link to the page that I showed on our website will be in the description of this video as well. Scholarly articles play an important role in the development of any emerging technology because they provide a roadmap for where these technologies are going. You've heard us talk about the moon. You've heard us talk about hydrogen fuel cells and improved energy sources. You've heard us talk about safer radiation. So the development platform that the Virtual Foundry provides with its FFF Metal and Filamet solution is incredible, and the things that you all are doing with it out there to make the world a better place are incredible. Brad, do you have anything else that you'd like to talk about with these papers and working with these students?
One thing I'd like to point out is that we actively recruit and look for other groups to work with. Some of the other technologies that are available in the FDM 3D printing area, the people that own the technology are not interested in developing relationships with end users and with researchers. We have completely the opposite attitude toward this concept. We will support your research project in any way that we can, and we'll make available any of the development that we've created in-house, as well as the data that we continue to catalog that's coming in from users.
In an upcoming podcast, you'll also see an interview with the University of Nevada, Reno Aerospace Club as they use this technology to make their rocket go 3 times higher. So look for that in a future episode.
Yes.
Now, Brad, I have one more very important question for you before we wrap up today.
Okay.
Now, why don't skeletons go trick-or-treating?
I don't know.
Because they have no body to go with. that was a Halloween joke. As we go into Halloween weekend here in the US, the kids get dressed up and go door to door asking for candy. Everybody loves it. People love getting dressed up. So lots of Halloween activities going on this weekend. Out there, if you've got an idea for a podcast, let me know at info@thevirtualfoundry.com. If you've got a cool project that you're working on, I'd love to showcase you in this format. Again, info@thevirtualfoundry.com. If you've got a question that you'd like us to do a deep dive on so that you have the answer forever, let us know. info@thevirtualfoundry.com. Check us out. Make sure to like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel, on all your favorite socials. And the Virtual Foundry Discord server is an excellent way to talk with other people using the materials, including the UNR Aerospace club that I just mentioned. You can see what other people are up to, ask questions, and we pop in there as well and can talk directly with you there also. So until next time, everybody, happy printing.
Thank you. I wasn't ready to talk about it specifically, but
Okay.
let me, and on
No,
the topic, sorry.
Oh, scholarly. Oh, sorry.